All right, let's do this. How's it going, everybody? What's up? My name is Rob.
And I'm also Rob.
And this is Sports Med with the Robs. Today, we are talking about transitioning to the sedentary lifestyle. Now, I know with everything going on, and again, we're going to try to keep things current, and we're definitely going to be aging ourselves out. It's going to be like current South Park, where, you know, they went more relevant, and they're not going to be as funny like 5 years down the line. It's fine. We're here for that. But, you know, a lot of people are out of work. They went from work, especially at the beginning, especially restaurant workers, right? They went from doing what, 20,000, 15,000 steps a day to, I don't know about you, Rob, but I've been, I think my average steps per day is probably 6,000, if that. And that's what I'd be considered a lazy day, when I was working, right? Now that's a goal. It's like I have to struggle to get that 6,000 steps. Even with me walking my dog and stuff, I'm sitting there like, it's 8:30 at night. I have 1,000 steps to go. Like, crap. All right, let's go out in the dark, walk around the block, kind of thing. We gotta get it going. I've also had my roommates like complain to me. Hey, they were teachers. Well, they are teachers still, but they were as well. They were and still are. They were complaining to me because they're used to being on their feet all day. Now they're doing most of their work sitting on the couch from their computer. Hey, my back's been hurting. What do I do? Well, yeah, I mean, you've been walking all day, which is probably one of the best treatments for back pain is go on a walk. How do I fix that, right? And as athletic trainers, we're always the first person that people come to. It doesn't even matter if you're an athletic trainer or not. If you're in the healthcare field, you could be a dietitian. Hey, what do I do how do I fix my back pain, right? You could have taken one health class in college or even high school, and your parents are probably coming to you like, hey, so my lumbago's acting up. What do I do here? And first off, like, don't get me started on lumbago. All right, that's a whole nother podcast. But you know, it's always nice to kind of have some tips and tricks in your back pocket to just give to people when they're asking for like exercise advice, because frankly, it's really our job as athletic trainers to kind of know this kind of stuff. We deal with aches and pains all day, every day, and our profession, right? And it's interesting to see and hear like a good amount of my friends come to me for advice on like, hey, I'm starting to hurt. Like, what do I do to fix it? Stretch, right? Go for a walk, get your steps in. And I know Rob was doing some research on this, so I'm gonna let him kind of take over and kind of tell us what he found. So what's your findings on this, Rob?
I mean, so the findings really just to kind of keep it to, like you said, more of a pretty basic concept here. Big findings that I was finding from a couple of those studies that I looked into was they looked at steps per day and how that equated to a sedentary lifestyle. And I think that's just kind of the biggest and easiest way that people can kind of get out of this new groove that they may have found themselves in, out of that the rut of just, you know, all right, let's start a new season on Netflix or anything like that. It's just moving. Actually, Rob, your goal of the 6,000 steps wasn't too far off from what the one study said. So it was a study done by Tudor Locke and his colleagues back in 2011. And they approximated that between 7,000 and 8,000 steps a day translated to roughly 30 minutes of what they called moderate to vigorous physical activity. So pretty much that range of the guideline that the CDC and all the other health organizations say, hey, get 30 minutes of moderate to high intensity activity in a day. They found that 7,000 to 8,000 steps really equates to roughly that. I'm sure with people that's going to vary based on how fast you walk and all that kind of stuff. But that was their basic finding, was 7,000 to 8,000. And then back in 2001, he and his colleagues also suggested taking at least 5,000 steps a day, because what they were finding was that was kind of falling into their range of more of a sedentary lifestyle index is how they classified it. And then there was another one again in 2007 that also said that they would suggest getting more than 5,000 steps in a day. Again, because it falls into that sedentary lifestyle index. The basic gist of everything that I was finding was obviously the more steps you get in, the better, because that equals more active time that you're having throughout the day. But then also the more steps you take also will then decrease that sedentary time because you're being more active
moving,
more
right.
throughout the day.
So what you're saying is the more steps you take, the less sedentary you are.
Yes. Mind-blowing science they found, but they were trying to put a number to it, because most people are going to be like, okay, well, I'm active. Like, how active should I be? And they're like, 7,000 to 8,000 steps.
Well, yeah.
And they track these with like the pedometers and everything. I'm not sure if it was like first generation Apple Watch type thing. I don't know when they came with those, or like first generation Fitbit type things. But I know that I'm pretty sure from how I interpreted it, and I may have misread, but I think it was like the waistband pedometers that they were getting most of these readings.
So a little more accurate.
Yeah, which aren't too terrible.
Although that kind of leads me to a point I didn't even think about. Like the pedometers, like on the smartwatches and stuff nowadays, are fantastically accurate, right? Like I've gone on walks and I've tracked, like I've counted in my head. Don't ask me why I decide, like, hey, let me count my steps in my head while I'm walking, because this is the stuff instead of me actually thinking about like my future and stuff. Like I think about the amount of steps I take during a walk, but I count the amount of steps, and I checked my watch, and it was only a few off. It wasn't like, so it really, really accurate. Now, granted, the watch I have is probably is definitely a newer watch. So, and it's a sport focused watch that I forgot to put back on. So it's doing me a lot of good right now. But it's super accurate now, so you can really track your steps. And quite frankly, I've found out, like, hey, getting like a quick 1,000 steps is not that hard. I get 100 going from my bedroom down to the kitchen, right? Like it's.
I mean, that's pretty decent.
So I do that 10 times. There's my 1,000 steps. I do that 60 times. There's my 6,000 steps. Right now, granted, that's on the little bit of the extreme side, but I mean, you can get that 7,000 to 8,000 fairly easily. It just I forget sometimes. I know I do. I'm a quite a do as I say, not as I do, quite a bit. When it comes to when it comes to stuff, I'm gonna wholeheartedly admit that, right? Like I have my flaws, but okay. But that leads me into this. A lot of people don't want to hear, like, oh, my back hurts. What do? Go walk. I walk every day. I still have back. Well, you're probably not walking enough, but like it's the same thing of like, how am I supposed to get better at this? Well, you're supposed to practice, but they want to see like improvement. They want to see something else they can do that's like not in their routine to help them out, right? And I think that's kind of where you get a couple of those little exercises, tips and tricks to kind of help out with learning how to manage just general pain, right? General stretches. And all the athletic trainers should know, your general hamstring stretch, your general double knee to chest, bird dogs, dead bugs, quadruped rocking, cats, camels. By the way, Rob, which one's the cat and which one's the camel?
That's a very good question. I would say, just based off the animals, camel's got to be the one where you're arching up. Cat would have to be the one. But
doesn't a cat look like that when he's growling? Doesn't he hump his back when he's growling? And then doesn't a camel have two humps?
That's true. So we would have that dip in the middle there. This is some philosophical questions I was not ready for, but I guess we'll.
You were right the first time. If you say otherwise, I disagree and you're wrong. Like look, everybody's entitled to your opinion, but if you say the cats and camels is the reverse of where you say. If you say this is camel and this is cat, your opinion is wrong, and I'm sorry for you.
You're caught there.
I'm having some technical difficulties. The problem with having like a computer with a tied-in headset is, there's cables. But anyway, so but what are your favorite exercises to kind of go to when somebody asks like, hey, my low back's hurting, right? Like, the most common pains you're going to see, hip right now, especially because everybody's sitting down, right? A lot. Low back, again, because everybody's sitting down. You're in that compressed position. And then a lot of neck pain just because they're probably laying down a lot more, cricking their neck, falling asleep in different positions on the couch, positions they probably shouldn't be falling asleep in. What's your go-to exercises when it comes to those?
I mean, I think my biggest ones are more type stretches. So I'll give them like the hamstring stretch, and even one as simple as just bend over, touch your toes, kind of thing. I'll show them a hip flexor stretch, so like the kneeling on the ground one, and then pretty much like a world's greatest stretch too, just to have something that's a little bit more dynamic to mix in there as well. Plus you get some other, you'll get the hamstring stretch in there, you'll get the hip flexor stretch in there, you get that twisting motion for the spinal rotation, and some thoracic movement in there as well. And honestly, it's for some more of the activity side, it's just don't be sitting so much.
Walk.
Get up, walk. Even anything that's just not sitting, just let your spine not give it some time to not be in that compressed position for so long.
One of these days, I'm going to get a GoPro, and you and I are just going to walk while we do this podcast, because we're saying go up and walk while we're sitting down and doing this podcast, right? But I definitely like the stretching. The stretching is kind of the easiest. My go-tos all the time for, quite frankly, damn near everything. Like, you got low leg pain, I'm probably giving you a prayer stretch, right? Doesn't matter. Shoulder pain, I'm probably gonna give you a prayer stretch, like if it's just general aches and pains, because that kind of just gets everything you want. General hamstring stretch is a good one. I focus a lot on like just small core strengthening exercises as well. So your cats, your bird dogs, your dead bugs, right? Your quadruped core strengthening, TA bracing, super easy exercises that you don't need to cue a lot, right? Like once you kind of teach somebody how to do it once, it's there for the most part, right? Like, I mean, we all know that patient that every time you see doing bird dogs, you gotta correct them every time. But like general TA bracing, it's not hard to kind of enforce that, right? What the greatest thing in the world, though, best moment I had, period, was I taught both my roommates, everything I just kind of said. And then the next morning I walked down and they're both doing them perfectly. Like without cueing, I walked downstairs, they're both up. First off, they were awake before me, and I have a dog that wakes me up at 7 a.m. in the morning, right? Like they were both up and doing the exercises, which was like, to me, it was one of the greatest feelings in the world, because they're like, dude, this helped so much. I was like, yeah, I know. Believe it or not, I know what I'm talking about, right? Shoulder wise, it's a little tricky though, especially with like if you're starting to get some shoulder pain because you're not moving as much, right? Or you're getting that you're here, shoulder shrug, stuff like that. So it's a lot of posture stuff you kind of have to reinforce. Again, I kind of go to some core strengthening, because core strengthening is good. Doesn't matter if you have a UCL reconstruction, right? You're still enforcing core exercises, or you're just having general shoulder pain. But University of Delaware had a 9-minute shoulder program that's kind of my go-to for like, hey, you're having some shoulder pain, some shoulder aches and stuff. Like, we're going to do a 9-minute program and you're going to hate me afterwards. It's really going to hurt, but then it's going to feel good afterwards. Right. Like it's one of those kind of, you hate it, but you love it. And if they're serious about it, they're going to do it, and they're going to do it regularly. Those are my real focus and go-tos. And I'll put in the description down below, we'll link to quite a few of these exercises. So in case anybody who's here, who's not AT focused, wants to kind of know some of these exercises, these are just general good exercises for you right now. If you have health conditions, consult your doctor before doing these, right? Like we're not giving you medical advice without knowing actual anything about you kind of thing. Like I go,
Yeah.
that's biggest thing in medicine is CYA, and we gotta cover that there, right? Like we'll show you some general exercises that we give to our friends and family. With that, like I have links for everything, so I'll make sure to find those and put them down in the description below. So if you're having back pain, if you're having shoulder pain, if you're having neck pain, right? Like if it's my general rule of thumb, if it's something more than 2 days, see somebody about it, right? But like you do some stretching and you're starting to feel good, you're probably okay, right? Like aches and pains are a normal part of life. You're not gonna you don't live without going through a little bit, right? It goes back to the some is okay, too much is problematic though, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah. I definitely think with like the shoulder exercises too. I think my big go-tos are pretty simple ones too. I tell people to get get a cross shoulder stretch there, tricep behind the back one there. If you can get even just like a band, like a resistance band, really pretty easy resistance band. You got the arm circles, and then if you can get a resistance band, some no monies going on, that kind of thing.
You don't even need a resistance band for no monies to work. Like just work on that, pinching their shoulder blades together. Like as you're externally rotating, just work on pinching those shoulder blades together, and you feel something, even if you don't have any resistance at all.
True. So just like easy ones like that. If you have everybody has a door frame in their house or something like that, you can just hold on to the door frame, give a little lean, because then you're giving all the posterior shoulder musculature. Even just an isometric strengthening there.
Yep.
It's still going to give you that strengthening there. It's still going to get that posterior capsule.
And iso strengthening is stuff,
which is a lot of times the capsule that I feel like a lot of people miss in strengthening. Everyone's worried about the side and the front, and that's great, but
right, the curls for the girls, right?
Yeah. If you see in America now, a lot of us have
I do 8-ounce curls.
Rotate shoulders forward because that's what we focus more on. Everybody wants to focus on chest day. Everybody forgets about back day. So I mean, you get that posterior capsule of good strengthening, and you'll start feeling a lot better in that area. Try to add in that extra third to keep the stress off the other 2/3.
And you mentioned the isometrics. I think those are super good when it comes to shoulder stuff, especially first starting out. Right, they're easy. You don't need equipment to do isometrics, which is probably like the biggest selling point on isometric strengthening. Now, you're not gonna go and look like Arnold Schwarzenegger after a year of doing isometrics, but
you might start looking a little bit like Herschel Walker, though.
I mean, yeah, that's a possibility. But I don't think any professional athlete got to where they are by just straight doing isometrics. Although that would be a kind of an interesting study.
Yeah, I mean, because that's kind of Herschel Walker's claim to fame is he didn't really lift a lot before the NFL or college. He just in between on commercials on TV, which is hard to do now because everybody has Netflix and Hulu. But on commercials, while he was watching TV, it would go on commercial. He'd sit there and just start doing push-ups the whole time until his show came back on. So I mean,
I think isometrics are great. You don't need anything. Now, that being said, if you want some resistance, what's really, really cheap? Resistance bands. Buy them on Amazon, right? Like, I'm not going to give you a brand name because, quite frankly, they don't pay me enough to give you a brand name, right? But everybody who's in the field knows the brand name, right? Like, it's... And if they want to, if somebody else wants to come and pay us to say their brand name, I'll say their brand name. I don't care. I'm
Joe Schmo down the street.
I will. As long as it's not hurting anybody and it's actually helping somebody, I'll I can be bought. I'm joking. No, I'm kidding. Wholeheartedly kidding. I need that to be made sure because I don't want people thinking like, oh yeah, we can just buy this guy. No. I'm a troll. It's bad. I've been in that internet mindset where I've been playing too much video games during this time off, and it's affecting my brain now. Like, what's the real world? I need to go back to work. I'm ready to be back on the field. That way I can actually see the people who are crap talking me versus people hiding behind their keyboards. And the difference is I don't know how old the person crap talking me on the computer is. When I'm at my school, I know they're 12 years old. Like it's fine. It's okay, right? Like we accept it. Anyway, I think that's all I got. You got any parting notes, Rob?
I mean, no. I mean, just some of the stuff that we hit on. You know, guys, at this time, get up, move around a little bit. Take a walk. Even if it's just 30 minutes, you'll hit that 7,000 to 8,000 roughly steps per day goal there. I mean,
go walk your dog. If you don't have a dog, go walk your cat. If you don't have a cat, go walk a rock in the yard. It's fine. You guys, just don't find one that's like 50. Now, if you could do a nice walk with a 50-pound boulder, that sounds impressive.
Hey, now, that's not just a boulder. It's a rock.
Well, I mean, at that point, you're driving. Anyways, okay. SpongeBob reference in an athletic training podcast. This is oh, so this is where this is going. Okay. Anyway, on that note,
take the walk, get your stretches in, and just like I said in the last one, everybody stay safe, and this world will get back to normal. Hopefully.
Anyway, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And thank you for watching. If you really liked it, like and subscribe down below. Leave a fun little comment if you want to. If you have any topics you'd like us to talk about. And we'll see you next week.